Well, Simon, we have a fantastic opportunity for our listeners and viewers where we're going to be giving away for an incredible event that you're going to be speaking at, tickets at a great price.
Yeah, they're almost free, but I mean, the event itself is the Ultimate Wealth Weekend. And it's designed, it's really designed for salespeople, entrepreneurs, business owners, but I think anybody would benefit from attending. There's an incredible lineup of experts going to be speaking all weekend long. I'll be talking about real estate. We have Jonathan Weaver joining us shortly in studio talking about some incredible investment ideas and incentives that we haven't heard of. We've also got, Toronto's own Brian Tracy, who's written like a gazillion books. He is the guy on business development and promotion. And so I'm looking forward to attending. Great opportunity, but joining us in studio to talk about a little bit more about it is Jonathan Weaver. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm delighted to be here. Thanks.
Well, we're thrilled you're here. So, Jonathan, you are the owner of Peak Performers, but you're also the Director of Business Development for Community Trust. And what that means is you're a busy guy, but you also have a lot of insight for people that are looking at alternative ways in which to be able to finance or get financing, correct?
Well, you're right. I met Simon some years ago as the president of Peak Performers, putting on seminars. And my client, who took me on as their business development director, Community Trust, is a financial institution not unlike a bank to most people because they offer checking accounts, savings accounts. But their primary focus is RRSPs, RESPs, which are registered education savings plans, RDSPs, registered disability savings plans, RIFs, LIFs, LIRAs, and that may all sound Greek to people. But I suppose part of the reason that it works is because we're giving education to show people how they can save, how they can reach their financial goals. I'm reluctant to use the word retirement. I would rather say, their financial balance point. And the financial balance point as opposed to retirement, because we're meeting all kinds of people who want to continue working despite the fact they have money, and other people who haven't saved enough. But financial balance point would be when you have enough money coming from your investments to have a 40-hour paycheck without having to work 40 hours.
Now, Jonathan, what I've always
I'm
found...
going to trademark that, actually.
You like that, don't you, Simon? I saw you. You're having a pondering moment.
Notes,
No, for sure. But Jonathan, I have to tell you, this is a pet peeve of mine, where in our school systems, I'm blown away that we don't educate our children. Not only do we not educate them on money, how to turn one into two, understanding, our ABCs and our 1, 2, 3s are important, but we really need to be educating our kids on understanding the fact that you can't rely on handouts, we can't rely on governments to be able to look after us. We have to look after our pocketbooks, and more importantly, we have to understand how to save, but also how to make our money grow, to be in what we call a financial strong point, a great situation, as opposed to a lot of people right now that are truly worried, Jonathan, and I talk to them all the time, and I know you do, Simon, where they feel that there's no hope. They haven't done it soon enough in their mind, or they just don't know what to do because they've never really been taught.
Well, I think that's the truth. I think until now they've been pretty much trained. If you look at the major financial institutions, they teach you how banking works that best suits them. Ask anybody how much they've had in their checking account at any time and how much interest they used to earn. Now they're starting to, pay small percentages, but historically they took your money for free and then lent it back to you.
And for a profit.
Yeah. So what I look at is, once, rather than being trained by the banks as to how it works, Community Trust is looking to educate people how finances can actually work for them and how people can structure campaigns and scenarios to work for them. So imagine, for example, you've got someone who's 55 years old, wants to retire in 10 years. They owe $100,000 on their house. Now, if they live where I grew up, Kapuskasing, Ontario, and their house is worth $110,000, that would be a problem. If they live in the Greater Toronto area or one of the major metropolitan areas, and for all intents and purposes have won a lottery because the property they paid $300,000 for, and interestingly enough, still have a mortgage on because the bank trained them to keep rolling in their car payments and other things. They have $100,000. They think it's a $100,000 problem because they have to pay off $10,000 a year to be retired at 65, debt free. And I'm going to suggest that there's a difference between good debt, bad debt, and part of what we'll teach them is how to take the fact that they have a mortgage and make it a good thing because the investments that they choose can have more security than what they're familiar with.
So financial literacy, it really is an epidemic in this country. I mean, we really don't understand how to prepare for our futures. A lot of people don't want to retire, which we know and understand. I think that's a good thing. But with all this time that we've vested in ourselves, we've spent all this time working. It's amazing how little people have left, or it's that fear factor, Simon, because they feel that if they have another 20, 30 years, they can't actually afford.
You know what? I think it comes down to comfort level. We're taught to get an education, get a job, pay off your mortgage, and retire. Well, it hasn't worked out. It really, really hasn't. And, I think people are afraid to go away from what they think have been traditionally the safe havens. Put your money in the bank, invest in your RSP, buy a mutual fund that's an equity, builder, euro, green, gluten-free fund. And, they come up with all kinds of different marketing angles to convince you that this is the latest and greatest. But if you look at the numbers historically, it really hasn't worked out well.
Now, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Real Estate Talk Show. And we have here in studio Jonathan Weaver. He's the owner of Peak Performance and also is the Director of Business Development for Community Trust. And he has a lot of great insight for people that are looking to expand their, what we call, investment portfolio or their portfolio wealth, whether it be in real estate or any other aspects of their life. This gentleman certainly can help you do that. But more importantly, we have a great event that's coming up that both Jonathan and Simon are going to be speaking at. Mm-hmm. So, Jonathan, maybe you can touch upon what you're going to be covering at the actual event.
Well, I guess what's really exciting is there'll be people who feed off what I'm talking about. Community Trust offers what I call shopping carts. So they offer RRSPs and other saving vehicles, and other people will be talking about the investments that fit into them.
Okay.
And then the third component, I guess, is that because we're primarily focusing on business owners and self-employed, it's how do you make more money? So I think there's two pieces of the puzzle. How do you make your savings work with less risk and better returns? And how do you make more money in the first place? And I guess the final component would be how do you maximize your tax efficiency so that the money you make, you actually get to keep.
Are a lot of people, Jonathan, just not taking advantage of that? I mean, as self-employed individuals?
Well,
or they just don't know how?
Absolutely. And I'll give you a real world example.
Okay.
So if I own a company and I go get my teeth cleaned and the company pays for my teeth cleaning, that's a taxable benefit and I pay tax. So if I'm in a 50% tax bracket, I pay 50% of whatever it costs to clean my teeth. If instead I had a health spending account, I go pay for the same teeth cleaning, the company reimburses me, not a taxable benefit, and I pay 20% because I own the company, and I pay 20% tax rather than 50%. So when we start to look at how does this work, there are things that are available every day, and most people just don't do them.
Right.
So what I'm hearing is it's just a lot of little things can make a huge difference, but it's stuff that most people don't know that they don't know.
100%, Simon. Right. I mean, the great news is, and I look at a couple I met with this, the other day, and they were saying to me, we're in terrible shape and we're so messed up. And I took a look at, their current circumstance and said, well, if we just reposition the blocks in this order, and they said, well, wait a minute, we'll actually have all the money we need. And I said, well, yeah, but if you don't make the adjustment,
you won't.
You won't. So most people have a job. Most people have the discipline to save, or at least the will to save. Mm-hmm. And what they don't know is the way the program is working against them right now, mm-hmm. and how they can realign that.
And it's never too late, is it, Jonathan?
Well, let's put it this way. 10 years from now, you're going to be 10 years older. You can be either a lot further ahead.
Or further behind if you keep going the way you're going. Yeah.
And if you think about it, the last 10 years went by really quickly. And if you don't do anything, it's going to go by quickly
again.
And
they go faster, don't they?
But we're going to be covering all this stuff and more at the Ultimate Wealth Weekend. So let's tell our listeners all about it.
All right. So, Jonathan, we're going to be able to pass on great savings to our listeners and viewers. Instead of them paying the actual $247 for the 3-day event, we're able to do this for 2 tickets for $99, right?
Well, that's only because of what you and Simon have put together. So
fantastic. So this is great, everybody. For $99, you get a full weekend of a wealth of learning. I mean, Simon, what else can they expect?
Well, I mean, you can come with your partner, you can come with your spouse, you can just bring a friend along, but it's a weekend full of learning. I'm looking forward to it because, aside from hearing from experts like Jonathan, I'm going to be talking about what's going on in the real estate market right now and sort of the insider secrets.
Okay.
But we've got none other than Brian Tracy, who's, a Toronto boy. He's written umpteen books, 80-something books. He is, he's the guy. I would come just to hear Brian talk.
Well, Brian speaks to about 500,000 people a year. He literally travels the globe. And, beyond Brian, who would be the main draw, I would suggest that whether you can come just Friday, just Saturday, or just Sunday, you're going to probably benefit just by having been there, whichever time frame you can make it.
Absolutely. And to get your tickets, just go to realestatetalkshow.ca. Click on the seminar tab. We'll give you all of the instructions. If you have any difficulty, just call our help desk, 416-366-9090. It's the Ultimate Wealth Weekend. We want everybody there. So, Jonathan, fantastic having you again in studio. We'll have to have you back. I'm sure there's more we can talk about.
Well, I'd love to get specific about some of the programs that are available.
Fantastic. Let's have you back and look forward to seeing you at the event.